So the people that are running beside us are not our competition. These women are not our competition. They are our partners in this race. And how cool is it that once we've learned to take off our backpack and to begin running with endurance, this race that God, Jesus has set before us, we can then, as we move forward, encourage our sisters, our friends, to lay down their burdens, put them on the ground, and to begin running with us on this race towards Jesus. Hey ladies, it's Melissa Moore. Thanks for joining me on Faith, Hope, Love, where we grow together in our faith, increase in hope, and learn how to better love God and love other people. We are in our momentum series right now. I've been praying about it for a super long time. We're going to be talking about moving on from the things that hold us back, moving forward towards Jesus, and then moving others. It's all based off of Hebrews 12 verses 1 through 3. So go ahead, you can take a look at that. But we are also doing a really cool hashtag momentum challenge. And every week we're going to be memorizing a brand new verse in the Bible. And if you want to take part in that, go over to Facebook to our group, Faith, Hope, Love Women's Community, and you can join in for giveaways, for these verse challenges, as well as different activities and discussions and prayers. It's a supportive community, and we would love to have you join us over there. So let's jump on in to today's episode. All right, so we just wrapped up our Life and Teachings of Jesus series, which was 20 weeks jam-packed full of learning how to study the Bible, talking about who Jesus is, as well as looking at his life, the way he treated people, the things he taught, the miracles he did, really just diving into the life of Jesus. We'll talk about it more in this series about how important it is for us to keep our eyes on Jesus if we want to have endurance. Now, if you've seen any of my previous episodes, you know that I really value the Bible and think that it is pretty much like the best way for us to learn how to live our lives and respond when we come across difficult situations and experiences, trauma, toxic relationships, like all the things you can find answers in the Bible. But I do want to look at this passage that is going to be the one that we really are going to hone in on in the next 24 weeks. So this is all found in Hebrews 12 verses 1 through 3. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from us sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. And again, as I've looked at my life and really at what I've gone through in the last several years, this has been so true for me. That, we go through different things that try to hold us down, hold us back, whether that's the sin that other people have done towards us, the brokenness, the trauma, the toxic relationships that we find ourselves in, the sin that's been pushed upon us, but also the sin that maybe we have committed. And we got to look at both. But I really do feel like this passage is talking about this possibility for us to then move on from those things, to move on towards freedom, to move on towards Christ. And in this series, we're going to not just talk about moving on. That's going to be a big bulk of the series, is hearing from different people, their stories and expertise in walking through things such as trauma, toxic relationships, mental health stuff. Guys, we're going to talk about it all. Addiction. We're not going to skip over that sin that we have committed. But we need to talk about those issues and learn from other people who have moved on from that heavy, heavy burden and who've started really running towards Jesus. I think it really helps to look at other people's lives to see how they did it so we could try some of those things for ourselves. Obviously, the main thing in all of that is keeping our eyes on Jesus. So we're going to talk again many, many weeks. I want to say about 12 weeks, we're going to talk about moving on. And then we're going to take 5 or 6 weeks to talk about moving forward. And this is the idea that when we put our eyes on Jesus, he's at the end of the race, right? We can look at him as our example. And as we look at Jesus, we can then move forward, leaving those other things that held us down, leaving those behind, and then now moving forward toward Jesus. Now, at the beginning of this passage, it talks about, therefore, we are surrounded by this great cloud of witnesses. Now, these people, if you have never read the Bible, and this is maybe totally brand new to you, I would encourage you, it says therefore, which means you have to ask yourself, what is it there for? It means look at what's right before this. So I would encourage you, if you've not read it before, take a look at Hebrews chapter 11. It's this amazing, amazing section of talking about these people that are people of faith. Now, if you look into their stories more closely, you're going to realize these are broken and imperfect, sometimes just like crazy train wrecks of people. But God put them in His Word to say that these are people of faith, even in the midst of their brokenness, whether it's the brokenness of their families or the brokenness of their own choices. They chose to seek and to look at God. And in that, they moved forward from those things that had held them back. And so what we're seeing here is it says, therefore, because we have this great cloud of witnesses, we have these people that we can look to. Now we can run this race. And I want you to think of it almost as if you're on a track running this race. Maybe you're not a runner. I'm not a runner either. But just imagine what it would be like to be running on this track. And you're at the starting line and you just have burdens on top of you. Maybe you've got a huge backpack full of weight. You can't run like that. And so we got to take that backpack off, throw it to the ground. But the cool thing is, at the end of the sprint, we can see Jesus. Our lives are not meant to just be run only at a sprint. This is a lifelong marathon race. But what's so cool is we have Jesus that we can put our eyes on. We get tired, we get weary. He shows us how to endure. He shows us how to persevere and how to continue moving forward. And not only that, but we have that great cloud of witnesses, almost like they're cheering in the stands, cheering your name to keep going, keep moving forward, keep your eyes on Jesus. We don't run this race alone. Not only do we have the cheering section, this great cloud of witnesses, we also have the people running beside us. And in normal races, we're competing against other people, right? That's like the main reason people run races, right? Is to win. But the cool thing about it is the race that's mentioned here, it's not a competition. We just need to get across the finish line. And so the people that are running beside us are not our competition. These women are not our competition. They are our partners in this race. And how cool is it that once we've learned to take off our backpack and to begin running with endurance, this race that God, Jesus has set before us, we can then, as we move forward, encourage our sisters, our friends, to lay down their burdens, put them on the ground, and to begin running with us on this race towards Jesus. Not only do we move on from that junk in our past, but we move forward towards Jesus, our eyes on Jesus, becoming more and more like Jesus. But we also get to move others as we move forward. The main thing with all of this is that we are not supposed to do any of this alone. That's why Jesus, created this idea of the church as He sent His disciples out. That was our last episode on the previous series. Our job as Christians, if you call yourself a Christian, is to reach out and give hope away to other people. And so as we are on this race of life, this marathon, we aren't competing with the people next to us. We need to help move others forward. That's what Jesus did. He didn't just run His race alone. He brought people alongside. He spoke the truth in love. He ultimately died on a cross to give us hope that we can lay our burdens down, lay our sins down. It's through Christ that we have the freedom to do that, to even be able to run. But it's because he didn't just die on a cross and get buried in a grave. He also rose from the dead and ascended into heaven, like it says in this verse, that he is now seated at the right hand of God the Father. Because he did what he said he would do, we can have faith that we can actually keep running with endurance. I want you to know that whatever you're struggling with, whether it's mental health, addiction, whatever that may look like for you, I want to tell you that there's freedom in Christ if we can take our eyes and put them on Christ. Obviously, getting help if we need it, therapy if we need it, going and getting a doctor's prescription for an essential medication if we need it. But first and foremost, putting our eyes on Jesus. That's how we're going to move on from those things that hold us down and hold us back. Move forward towards Jesus on this marathon race called life. And then helping us to eventually move others, move forward, all of us together towards Jesus. That's the goal. But I'm excited about this momentum series, this moving on section, as we really dive into what it looks like to move on from different kinds of hurt. Because I think that's the thing, is if we don't move on from our stuff, we can't move forward. And so I hope that as we dive into the next few weeks of the series, that it'll be a huge encouragement to you, just like recording these episodes has been an encouragement to me. Hey ladies, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, join us over in the Faith, Hope, Love Women's Community group on Facebook, and we will be discussing this episode as well as doing that #Momentum challenge together. So we'll see you there. And as far as these episodes go, I'll see you all next week.